Welcome back. In this lesson, I'm going to focus around introducing something called NPM. So I have three main objectives here. The first one I want to do is define what NPM is, what it stands for, conceptually what it does, and then explain why it's awesome. And then lastly, intro all the packages that we'll end up using. So that will make more sense once we define what a package is. In the Intro to Node video, I showed the Node.js homepage, and I read this little paragraph, and it talked about how Node is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 engine, blah, 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 blah. And then there's this sentence here: Node.js's package ecosystem, NPM, is the largest ecosystem of open source libraries in the world. I think it's telling that on the official Node.js homepage, 1/3 of this little blurb, it's really just one sentence, but it's still 1/3, is about NPM. Also, when I first introduced Node, I showed the StackShare page for it, and we went over some of these features that users have voted on being the best parts of Node.js. And the most popular answer here is great libraries, and the second most popular is NPM, and really these are referring to the exact same thing. Hopefully I've convinced you that NPM is important. Now let's talk about why and talk about what it is and how it works. So on the NPM homepage here, just close this little blurb. You can see the official slogan: NPM is the package manager for JavaScript. So let's talk about what a package is. When we write front-end JavaScript, think back to creating an HTML file and then including things with a script tag. And if we wanted to include something like jQuery or the Bootstrap JavaScript library or any other JavaScript library, we need to use a script tag in our HTML. But if we're writing Node on the server side and we want to include a library or something that someone else wrote, we can't just add a script tag because there are no script tags because there's no HTML. We're just dealing with Node. The way that we get those libraries when we're writing server-side JavaScript or when we're writing Node is through NPM. Rather than calling them libraries, NPM refers to them as packages, but it's the same idea. So packages are just code that someone else has written, a group has written, a single person has written, that we can include and add to our own project. And what makes it even more exciting to me compared to including front-end libraries like jQuery or Bootstrap is that all the packages are centralized here on this NPM website. And more importantly, NPM has a command line tool, so I can install things really, really easily. If I wanted to install a package like Express, or Bower, or Gulp, or Forever, or whatever these are, all I have to do is type npm install and the name of the package in my command line, and that's it. I don't have to go and find a CDN or a link and copy and paste something. All I have to do is run npm install and then the name of the package, and as long as npm knows about that package, and you can see there's almost 200,000 different packages, it will automatically be installed for me. In the next video, we'll actually do that and install some new packages and import them and use some really simple packages to start. But as we progress through this course, we're going to continually use and add in new packages. When people create web applications using Node, they don't just write plain JavaScript and do everything from scratch. For the most part, you're going to use packages and other tools, frameworks, things that other people have written to make our life easier. In our stack, we'll be using a package called Express, which you can see here. This one is really popular. We'll also be using another package called Mongoose. And actually, I can show you here, we're using a few different packages, one called Body Parser, another called Morgan, another called EJS, and there are even more that we will eventually introduce. We'll be working with about 10 different packages that we've installed by the end of this course. Let me go back to the objectives and wrap up. So define NPM, we talked about what it stands for, Node Package Manager, and it's this awesome tool that comes with Node that lets us install packages, which are just the JavaScript version or the Node version of libraries, just code that someone else wrote that makes our life easier. And NPM lets us install them really, really easily. So that's one of the reasons why it's awesome. It's easy to use. Also, it's this centralized repository of almost 200,000 different packages. Pretty much everything you want to do, any possible thing, whether it's printing out pictures of cats or setting up a web application or connecting to a database or printing out colorful text in your terminal or telling a knock-knock joke, almost anything you could imagine doing with JavaScript and Node someone has already done it and packaged it into this nice module, into a package that you can install. And then I very briefly introduced a few of the packages that we'll end up using. The most important one by far is called Express, and that will be our framework that we use. But we'll also use things like Mongoose and Morgan and EJS and Body Parser and Cookie Parser and Passport and a few other ones as well. In the next video, we're going to see how we can install packages using the awesome command line interface that I mentioned, and then also how we can use those packages that we've installed inside of our own JavaScript code.